can't go in there. Up speed. A tornado is forming. Riddis stands there gaping for 1 second too long and gets swept up in the tornado. It spins her round and round until she can hardly see straight. When you return, Oriole approaches. He says a raging wind blew through and destroyed the town. You surmise the flap. You explain that you need a boat to go after the dragon. Sensing there may be a problem, you quickly make your way to the wharf. Welcome. 100 gold pieces will get you wherever you're headed. You will be instantly transported to any location you've previously visited. Travel for 100 gold pieces? You set foot inside the inn only to be greeted with the great clanging of... It would appear you and your companions are this inn's 10,000th customers. That means you've won the lifetime of free stays pass. The woman says the violent winds stirred up the sea, causing her precious... But if you can return her vessel to the water, she will... Your brows furrow, knowing that there is no way you could... Beside you, Bruno stretches, warming up his body. After striking a fantastic pose to show off his muscles, he charges straight. No matter how hard he pushes, though, the boat, it's pointless, you sigh. Turning around, a muscle-bound Melanie stands before you. Now it's working, Bruno exclaims. It appears the custom supplement she drank in the tower bulked her up. Let us combine our power. Bruno entreats, her whole body racked with chills. You need Melanie's help to catch the dragon. You call out to her. You turn your earnest eyes to her and say, please, but unable to hold back at the sight of her impressive build. But in the next instant, you receive you hear your bones creak in a way you've never heard before. But afterward, the two muscle-bound forms worked. I will never be a beautiful bride like this, Melanie. You're wrong, Bruno exclaims. At any rate, you leave the port town and follow the dragon. Just as you are about to leave, Oreo comes to see you off. According to him, the dragon flew to the west, where there is an island. Rumor has it they are actively researching medicine on this island. Understanding his father's wishes, Bruno Mount Medica. Something stirs deep inside your chest, but you blame your imagination and board the boat without another thought. Wasn't that so much fun? Ritis can hardly contain her excitement as she seeks a similar reaction from Melanie. Sure, Melanie croaks. Ritis turns to you and carries on, oblivious. Wasn't that just the greatest? You, however, are a bit worn out, as your mid-voyage teasing of Melanie prompted her to ring. Your first order of business should be a sweep of the island to add. A road stretches west from the docks, suggesting the presence of a house or settlement at the other end. You take the lead, taking in the island's scene. A white-hot streak of pain shoots through your head, feeling as though your skull will split in two. The searing pain erases any hope of recalling the memory that felt. Beads of sweat are pouring off you now, as you struggle to keep your head in one piece. Drink this, Bruno insists. You greedily drink it down, desperate for relief. The pain begins to ebb, and you hurriedly resolve to press on. After a time, you happen upon a village. This place, you mutter unconsciously. Perhaps he is as anxious as you are about this place. You two okay? Melanie asks. You are only to notice the ambush a moment too late. Repel the monster attack. Let's do this. I was lucky. Fortune favors the bold. You are accosted by a man the instant you his eyes are glazed over, and his general demeanor unsettling. Should he really have medicine? You give him a glimpse of the medicine. Nothing in this life is free, you sneer. Your callousness is swiftly punished as the medicine slips from your grasp. The man runs off to who knows where, making noises. You and the party resolve to continue exploring the village. Something is askew in this village. It would be best to proceed with caution until you can determine what is happening. The man glares at you, clutching. He insists that they all belong to him and refuses to share them with anyone. Another villager approaches you, though this villager is also behaving strangely. Will you acquiesce to his request? Ritis briefly reveals the medicine under her cloak. Nothing in life is free, she says. Her fun is short-lived, as she too loses her grip on the medicine. You could not help but notice the groans of medicine. Something's not right in this village, Bruno mutters, clearly worried. You hear a panicked cry up the road. Stay with me. Focus on me. That can't be good. The old man sighs, saying he lost both. Not wanting to be the only one left behind, he lifts the bottle in his hand to his lips and gulps it down. You arrive on the scene to find a man collapsed in the street, convulsing. The noble, seeing the knight's devotion, makes you feel a bit like a putz for doing nothing. The villager is in quite a state. In a rare move, you volunteer. He'll have none of that, the knight barks. The villager, blood as black as tar, begins oozing. The convulsions subside. Within moments, the villager, a horrific thought makes itself known. This is the first time, even in a world where medicines and elixirs can cure most, and as well you know, that which is dead can never return. Your mind goes blank. You drop to your... Melanie clamps her hand to her mouth, stifling a scream. The knight hangs his head. Bruno nervously asks. The knight's name is Sherwin. He identifies. His travels brought him to this village, where he has been... His face contorts in disgust. If not for these foul drugs, they would be healed. He spits, and Bruno gazes upon the villager's corpse with a look of apparent realization. You ask the villager about the dragon. The headman can help you if you're in some trouble, she retorts. Dozens of empty medicine bottles litter the ground in front of this woman. There isn't a soul about. The house is surely abandoned. You had best get out of here quick. If you stay here, then you too will. She begins, then suddenly starts cackling. A man approaches you as you wander through the village. He sets about convincing you that your kindness. You reach for a bottle of medicine, completely taken in by his pitch. Bruno stills your hand. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I really shouldn't, you yelp over your shoulder, already walking away at a brisk pace. You continue wandering the village streets, only to be accosted by the man once more. It seems he will follow you to the ends of the earth. Why do you want it so badly, you ask? He first came in contact with it as a child.
His parents paid him no mind.
And never since forgot its wonderful taste. You are fully invested in this story, and desperate to give the man some small comfort. I've heard better sob stories, Melanie says. Bruno thinks you'd better not, but you're not so sure. You heed Bruno's warning and return the medicine. The man's shoulders droop, and he appears to have dropped something peculiar in his haste. You knock lightly on the door, and he announces himself as Selfor and beckons you inside. Ask me anything you like, he offers. Selfor receives your party, for he could well be a font of knowledge. What will you ask him? You ask if he has seen the dragon. Why, yes, he says. He returned to this. Oh, but don't worry, he continues. He hasn't caused us too much trouble. Needless to say, you notice Melanie lift an eyebrow at his use of the word. At any rate, the dragon's presence on the island is confirmed. You quietly celebrate the first credible lead you've yet received. You make mention of the village's eccentricities. Selfor informs you that the island indeed suffers. He apologizes for the villagers' incivility. Consider it the price to pay for making the world a better place, he adds nonsensically. You ask if he is the one in charge of the village. It's true that the villagers call him their headman, but I feel compelled to correct the record and state that my official title is overseer. Your question is satisfactorily answered. You thank Selfor and turn to leave. He asks you to stop. We have yet to discuss the terms of your living here, he declares. You explain that you are only here to pursue the dragon and have no intention to stay. Selfor begs your forgiveness for thinking you were newcomers. It's perfectly understandable, though, what with the non-match among you, he says with a sneer. What does he mean by that? Melanie asks you, unable to grasp the old man's intentions. For reasons unknown, you feel the blood drain from your face. Your breathing grows ragged and you break out in a sweat. We're done here, you say defiantly, as Mar runs after you, chirping frantically. Melanie and the others give chase, but you and Mar are well out of sight by the time they make it outside. The two can't have gone far, though. It may be best to first search the village. The villager turns to face the wall once more and smacks his head against it repeatedly. His forehead is soon covered in blood. This cursed island is separated from the rest of the world. I heard that outsiders call this place Mount Medica, she remarks, then throws the empty bottle in her hand to the roadside. Melanie and company find you standing in front of a house. She can't quite make it out, but it sounds as though you're saying to Mom. Melanie calls out to you, prompting you to blurt out, sorry, just had a bad stomach ache back there, in your characteristically glib manner. She surveys you both and sees two haggard travelers unwilling to admit they're in need. Are you sure you're fine? Absolutely fine. So you were worried about me, you shoot back. No, I wasn't, she replies, her face reddening. You spot a familiar-looking mage on the village streets. Winifred takes no notice of you, and ducks. So, the Ivory Order buys their medicine just like everybody else, you muse to Winifred and the apothecary speak in hushed tones. You'd guess it's an... Alas, she's just buying the usual stuff, though her presence suggests that with no desire to run into them, you make yourself scarce before she catches sight of you. By the very people you were. The last thing we need is a confrontation. Why are we always hiding? Melanie hisses under her breath. Two members of the Order are speaking with giving how deferential they appear to be acting toward him. You hazard a guess that he's their superior. Have you determined the dragon's location? Sherwin asks. The dragon appears to be occupying the volcano. I suggest we move to capture. Now who should appear but Winifred? Fresh from her shop. Preparations for our journey into the volcano are complete, she reports. Splendid. Sherwin walks off and out of sight, the other three following close behind. Lucky for you, your hastily improvised hiding spot afforded you valuable, yet their conversation raised as many questions as it answered. There was talk of capturing the dragon. Melanie picked up on the incongruity as well. The Queen ordered the dragon killed, she reminds you. You know that the dragon is lurking in the volcano, but isn't it that mountain with all the smoke pouring out of it? Fritis asks, pointing westward. Why, yes. The medicine bottle Sherwin received is probably related to their journey into... Bruno recalls seeing a bottle much like it once before. He says maybe that's what Winifred bought at the apothecary. You narrow your eyes. You three have no right. Mar pinches your cheeks without warning. You yelp in pain, which at the very least, returning to the matter at hand, it's clear what must be done. You'll have to get your hands on some flash freeze if you hope to enter the volcano. Happen to have any flash freeze for sale? She flashes a wry smile. How do you steady the roiling magma's flow? The meaning behind the question is utterly lost on you. The answer, then, would be the password. So, how do you steady the roiling magma's flow? She mutters. She pulls out her wares, but what you need is not among them. Your password merely granted you entry to the apothecary. Ah, yes, you think so, she says, as if turning the answer over in her mind. But you'd be wrong. The old woman rolls her eyes, suddenly looking defeated. How did you know the answer? Did someone tell you? She mutters bitterly. You've managed to crack the code, and a bottle of flash freeze. You've got a long road ahead of you. Excellent. You won't be able to climb. The Bizarre Rock transformed into an Aqua Rock. The only way out of this fight is through it. Excellent. Excellent. Let's do this. Excellent. Come across a gaping hole in the ground. A sign beside it depicts a piece of armor, followed by, "Do not drop this." It's only human to want to do exactly what you're told not to. However willing you might be, you don't have the armor depicted, so you walk away. Something comes rocketing down from the mountaintop. There and gone in a flash. What was that? Your friends insist it was probably just a rock. The rock adroitly avoids crashing into anything as your friends breathe a sigh of relief as the monster hurtles ever farther away. Fortune favors the bold. Nice work. The heat of the volcano engulfs you the moment you... Of course, the dragon is hiding out here. Guess it's as good a place as any to corner him, you reason with yourself, trying to keep your spirits up. Crossing this river of lava won't be easy. Here's how you cross a lava river. Bam! You open the bottle of flash freeze and pour some into the raging river of lava. The lava instantly hardens, forming a bridge of rock. work. A jet of lava erupts from the ground before you. You escape injury by the skin of your teeth, but the path ahead is now blocked. About the enemy. Nice work. You can't help but chant, "It's hot." So, you're just wasting energy, Melanie chide. Bruno seizes on the moment. Yeah, it is way too hot for this, Melanie screams, forgetting her own advice. Just as you're about to faint from the oppressive heat, you turn and watch with wide eyes as beads of sweat go. According to the man, conditions will only worsen from here on out. He offers to lend you a comfy sleeping mat and blanket to rest with before continuing your journey. You thank the man before heading on your way. Excellent. A wave of lava rushes past you, leaving a pile of boulders in its wake. You take a fortunate but ungainly fall backwards, but sadly you must find another route now. The rocks give way to a rush of lava. You just barely manage not to fall in. Time to find an alternate route. Excellent. You've spent so long in here, even I'm starting to sweat. About the enemy. Nice work. A clump of familiar white outfits comes into... We shall be the ones to fell the dragon. You proclaim loudly. At your persistence, Winifred requests, please do... As you all suspected, they have no intention of following. What will you do with him once he is yours? Melanie asks forcefully. But her answer shall have to wait. The lava bubbles and swirls as monsters leap out onto the rock before you. It would seem in a flash, Sherwin's blade. Clearly he has earned his rank within the... Keep moving, he bellows, leading his companions deeper into the volcano. The remaining monster turns toward you, eager to avenge its fallen friend. There shall be no avoiding this battle. Good work. You escape with your lives, but the ivory... All your efforts will be for naught if they reach the dragon before you do. You hurry the party onward. A deafening roar greets you as you set foot on the summit. The dragon must be close. That was lucky. You reach the caldera only to find the dragon and the Ivory Order members locked in battle. Their teamwork is impeccable. Vince is doing everything he can to protect the dragon, but the Ivory Order approaches the dragon, quite sure of their victory. They shall have their quarry at this rate. You can see the writing on the wall. You shrink away from the fight. Go on, get out there, Melanie yells. Kicking you square, we'll be the ones to collect the bounty on... What vulgar ambition. Hedwyn and Winifred each keep one eye on you as they begin and without warning, the dragon slams his tail against the ground. Cracks at the rock, but you surmise the fall wasn't far enough to kill them, but they won't make it back here anytime soon. The dragon spreads his wings, and this may be your only chance to slay him without the Ivory Order interfering. That was lucky. Fortune favors the bold. That was lucky. Excellent. The dragon sits perched on the edge of the caldera. You eye him warily, shouting, "There's nowhere left to..." He lets loose an intimidating roar. Victory is within reach. You have never You draw your sword and charge, blade raised and ready to... In an instant, his bodyguard appears before you. He looks upon you and sees only... You shall not be stopped. You have your reasons for wanting the dragon dead, and they are This conflict is inevitable. You heave your sword toward the enemy, come what may. You can do this. Nice. Vince falls, his face covered in blood. Why would you give your life to protect the dragon? Asks the one who has forsaken her own. What would you know of loyalty? He begins chanting, no doubt preparing to No, that spell is for... A stupendously powerful magic swirls out of the ether. Vince turns to face you once more. His aura, you tighten your grip on your sword. There's no turning back now. Vince adopts a sweeping stance between you and the dragon. You'll have to deal with him first if you hope to attack your quarry. battle has been won. Tears stream down Vince's face. You watch him out of the corner of your eye as you turn your attention toward the dragon. Vince, undeterred by the wounds that now cover his body, rises to his feet. Enough! The dragon speaks. He declares that then you ought not to have brought harm upon us, you shout. Vince, filled with righteous indignation, denounces each. The dragon admits that your prowess in battle and willingness to pursue him the world over have earned you the right to hear. The dragon claims he shares a special bond with the medicine that helps people the world over. Everyone in the world drinks this medicine as though it were water. Taking this medicine heals all wounds and cures all ills. It is a crutch that humanity... The primary ingredient in this medicine is dragon tear. All those who succeeded in capturing the dragon in the past forced him to live a nightmare. They would stab him with several hundred spears. They would slice his scales off with... Every day a fresh horror would visit him in the heart of the island. And they then gathered up the dragon tear he shed and used it to produce. You cast your mind back over your travels, over all the people who... The mere thought that so much good was born of the dragon's torture makes your mind reel. You feel unmoored. No one moves, or so much as makes a sound. The dragon claims he has grown weary of suffering for the benefit. And so, I beseech you, you hear only hurt and fatigue, and comply, and you will fulfill the order that was given you. But know that if you do, the medicine upon which people have come to rely shall cease to exist, threatening the very foundation upon which humanity was built. Now, knowing the tragic reality, you cannot. Your heart filled with anguish, you lower your weapon. Out of nowhere, a burst of magic crashes over the entire party. The Ivory Order have found their way back to the... Sherwin stares the dragon down, fire in his eyes. Seize him at once, Hedwyn urges. With a nod, Sherwin approaches the dragon. In one motion, Sherwin unsheathed. The dragon's lifeless corpse lurches backward before dropping over the edge into the caldera. What have you done? The earth shakes. The dragon's body seems to have energized the lava enough to spur an eruption. All that remains is to destroy that place, he hisses. The remaining members of the Ivory Order are still in shock, but Hedwyn orders them out, and they flee out of sight. The volcano is about to erupt. Melanie suggests the party take Vince as well. He speaks his final request. His voice, dragon tear is more powerful than you can imagine, he said. You mustn't let them use it. Stop them at all costs. Vince's final pronouncement echoing in your head. You race to catch. The eruption is imminent. The earlier tremors collapsed the passage you took to reach the caldera. Follow the other passage out and escape before it's too late. Don't hold back. Oh? Nice work. Take your time. There's no need to rush yet. Congrats. Congrats. Don't hold back. You're nearly out. The relief of knowing you may end short-lived, as monsters burst forth from the lava, blocking your escape. Fortune favors the bold. Did great. You race out of the volcano, the monsters scarcely having hit the ground behind you. After your narrow escape from the volcano, you mull over what you learned at the summit. The truth about the dragon and the medicine, what the ivory and Vince's dying warning about Dragon Tear destroying the world. You decide to return to the village of the sick to try and make sense of everything. I'm exhausted, says Ridis. Bruno is silent and looks deep in thought. As you head into the village after your friends, this place. Something about it is triggering a memory. Let's rest up at the inn, suggests Melanie, taking in everyone's state. You must fancy yourself quite the eccentric coming here. The innkeeper drones. Stay if you want to stay. The innkeeper continues, utterly disinterested in even attempting to sell you on a room. At dinner time, you and your friends gather around the table. Now that the dragon's been defeated, she says, what are we going to do? In truth, the Ivory Order wanted to capture the dragon alive. You can't help feeling the Ivory Order is still hiding some. We might want to look into this island a bit. Bruno agrees with you. They call this place Mount Medica. Something tells me, whether you go after the Ivory Order or investigate the island, the Overseer should be pretty knowledgeable about the island. You decide to pay a visit to the Overseer after a good night's rest. Selfor, the village headman, after detailing what happened atop the volcano. So, the dragon's tears are the medicine's main ingredient, he muses. You ask Selfor what the deal with this. After a moment, he tells you about the medicine factory here on the island, and that this village was founded in order to provide a steady supply. Now that you know the truth about the island and the village, you turn to Selfor and pose further questions. What do you mean, testing new medicine? Selfor explains that before the Ivory Order sends any of its with all the new medicines they're constantly prescribed, the village all except Selfor, who says he's exempt from the tests on account of being in charge of the village on the Order's behalf. Probing further, you ask, and the Ivory Order I'm almost positive that explains why the Order wanted to capture him, said. But if that's the case, why did Sherwin flout the Order and kill the dragon? You're still Sometimes we get people who try to escape, he said. This is horrible, says. You know the abandoned house at the western edge of the village? As Selfor speaks, you feel all the blood drain from your body. There's something I'd like to see for myself at the uncharacteristically somber look on your face, Melanie, Ridis, and Bruno give silent nods. You stand before the dilapidated house. It looks like no one's. You open the door and go inside. Your eyes land on a progression of horizontal notches on the lower section of and carved into the beam beside the markings are your. Seeing your names unleashes a flood of memories you hadn't realized you'd kept locked away. The trauma of what happened, combined with the effects of the medicine, spurred the loss of your memories. But now you remember the horror in full detail. Melanie, Riddis, and Bruno just stand there in silence, absorbing the truth. Melanie, who knows all too well the pain of losing. We have a lot in common, you and I. That's how we've made it this far together, she says softly. Moved by her kindness, you give her a but. I've still got farther to go, you say. As painful as those memories are, something the Ivory Order, if you can get your hands on an undiluted solution of dragon tear. And what was that about the place they called the That's probably a good enough place as any to start. Melanie doesn't miss the determination that blooms on your face. Whatever it is you need to do, she says, I'm with you. You ask Selfor if he's ever heard of. He tells you the steep cliffs north of the village block the way. He advises you to first go east and then head north from the wharf. The wharf, that's where we first docked, right? Clarifies Bruno. Ooh, the path to the mausoleum. If you start feeling weary on your... A giant boulder impedes the path. Who do you see but the Ivory? In a flash, you draw your weapons. But unlike the other times you've crossed paths, the trio doesn't see. You lower your weapons in response. Conveniently, you've got some questions for them anyway. You demand to know if what Selfor told you about this... There's no reason to hide it. He tells you of the immense fortune the Order amassed by selling them, and he confirms recapturing the dragon's imprisonment on this island was a secret only the upper echelons of the Order were privy to. Even Queen Nilla did. You ask where the mausoleum is. Coincidentally, says Edwin, atop the volcano, Sherwin swore to destroy that. Winifred ponders the question of why Sherwin... Alas, we cannot get to the mausoleum with this in our way, Edwin said. Upon closer examination of the boulder, you see fissure. Perhaps it was weakened by the earthquake. With the right approach, you might be able to force your way through after all. You ask Bruno to put his brawn to use. He squares off in front and strikes the fissure with a mighty knife-edged chop. Silence rings for a moment before the boulder crumbles to dust. The Ivory Order trio offers a curt thanks before hurrying on ahead. The jerks. come across two men sitting on a rock. You listen in and deduce that you lean in, trying to hear what else the thieves stashed the goods away. That island shaped like it sounds like they've just told you the dragon's nostril. Your perseverance pays off. You come to learn that the island itself is shaped not. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. The bizarre rock transformed into a fear rock. The only way out of this fight is through it. Watch out, your friends when you keep your cool. Your friends gasp as you catch whatever it is before it clobbers you.
fight. That was lucky.
Nice work. Excellent. You did great. Don't hold back. I was lucky. About the enemy. It's just a waste of good equipment, you think to yourself, and take your leave. Congrats. You found a Stela, but upon further inspection... But surely, it's not simply stood here for the sake of it. You make note of it in case you're told to seek out another Stela later. That was lucky. and fight. Congrats. You pick up a scrap of paper dropped by some manner of monster. Clearly, whoever stashed the scrap of paper in your pack and resolved to keep an eye out for the treasure on your travels.